Welcome everybody to another Voice of Nick show. We're going to be playing more Adventure Jam 2023 games. For anybody who doesn't know what we've been up to lately, we created a game for a game jam, our first ever game jam. This was a 2-week endeavor where we would conceptualize and then finish a game within that span, which was in the adventure game genre. And it could be any kind of adventure game, which really let us go in whatever direction we wanted. So what we came up with is the game you see on your screen here. We'll get this out of the way first before we jump into the games we're playing. This one's called Young Homer. This is what we made. It is a game about the epic Greek epic poet Homer creating the Odyssey. And you can find it at this link at itch.io. You can also find it in a URL that I'll post in this video after it's over. So give it a look if you're interested. Now, what we're going to do today is continue playing the game we were playing on the last one, The Third Wish, which is George Broussard's Adventure Jam entry. I'm honored to be in the same game jam as George Broussard, so that's awesome. So we're gonna keep going with this. We have maybe like an hour of our progress. You know, I'm pretty slow at playing video games, so an hour of progress so far. We're gonna keep going and see if we can finish it or move forward or whatever. So let's look at that. If you want to find the game yourself, you can go to the link that is right here on the screen, or you can click the link that I'll put in the video description. So let's try and navigate back to where I put this on my drive. And I don't really know how the loading process works, so we'll kind of hope for the best. I've never played a game that had saves from the Adventure Jam before, so that'll be something to find out. I assume that you open the game and you can yeah, here we go. Good. All right, we're back in it.
Nah, what a curious. Nah. My love, I wish I could. Aren't you cold? It's colder for my son. It was a nice funeral. He's gone and in the ground. It was an accident. The paw. The monkey's paw. Where is it? What's the matter? The paw. I want it. What are you talking about? I only just thought of it. Why didn't I think of it before? Think of what? The other 2 wishes. We've only had one. Was that not enough? Go get the paw and wish our boy alive again. Good God, you're mad. Get it. My boy, my boy, my boy. I will not. You will. You have to. We had the first wish granted. It will work. It's been a week. I couldn't tell you this before, but I saw Herbert before the funeral. The machinery. You wouldn't recognize him. I'm his mother. Do you think I fear the child I nursed? Get the paw. Get it now. Got it. What a curious, ugly little thing. Wish. This is foolish. Wish. Get it. Get it. Wish. Wish. I wish our son alive again. Ah! Time passed in silence, with the two just standing there. The old man relieved nothing had happened. The old woman looking hopefully out the window. What's that? It's the wind. Sandstorm kicking in. It's Herbert. It's Herbert! For God's sake, don't let it in. I'm coming, Herbert. What a curious... Nah. The doorbolt. It's jammed. I'm coming, Herbert. Stop. It's not Herbert. Outside, where the work is. Nah. Help me open this door, damn it. Stop. It's not Herbert. Help me open this. Stop. Nah. Got it. The door won't. It's jammed. I'm coming, Herbert. Stop. It's not Herbert. I wish our son were dead again. Herbert? Herbert? There's nobody there. Altair 4, a planet 17 light years from Earth, containing one Mr. and Mrs. White, who tempted fate and made light of consequences, and in the process learned a terrible lesson. A lesson that is universal and spans the universe. Tonight, Mr. and Mrs. White learned the most terrible lesson of all. Be careful what you wish for.
Good stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot. It turns out that we stopped the game like really close to the ending, but you know, you can't really always control that it's going to be the right spot to stop. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think that as far as the there's a small mechanical thing that I would suggest, which obviously it's a game jam game. Again, you can't add every nice to have thing, but you know, I only say any suggestions in the event that the developer would want to be making a, you know, expanding on the story or making more of these or something like that. But when the monkey's paw was sitting in the room, it was a little bit jarring when he would just go, nah, when he's talking about the monkey's paw, because it holds so much emotional weight for him. So you would, like, the thing that he thinks about it is a very nice thought, where he says, like, it's a shriveled, ugly little thing, or whatever he says. But when you try to use it, he says, nah, which is what he says for everything. And you would think that there would be kind of like a specialized line for when he is asked, or his mind goes to the idea of actually using the item. He'd be like, oh God, I would never, I wouldn't use that again, or something like that. But again, it's a jam game, so I wouldn't really fault it for that. I didn't really pick up on it when we started the game with the setup scene where it shows the planet and the person's narrating, and once we bookended it with that scene again, and we had like sort of the moral of the story there. I loved the sort of Twilight Zone treatment of that, and obviously the idea of it being kind of a Twilight Zone treatment sort of opens up this concept. If the developer, if George Broussard wanted to further this, it would be really cool if it was a game or an episodic game or something, a series of episodes that were anthology pieces. So like there's this one that's the monkey's paw. There could be any number of other stories within the same sci-fi universe or within different universes, or they're not all even sci-fi or whatever, but it's like an adventure game package that has multiple anthology stories in it. That sort of Twilight Zone packaging of the story was really a great way to do that. So I loved this. Again, it's made by a person who's a lot more experienced than I am, and has like a Wikipedia page and all that stuff. So like I don't think really I don't know how much my suggestions can really help somebody who's like at that level. But for what it's worth, I thought this was great. I really thought the art style was very cohesive. I'm extremely impressed at the level of design in the art and the gameplay design and stuff like that. It was all really well put together. I loved the idea of adapting an existing story and shifting it into the sci-fi setting to give it that sort of like unique flair while still having it be a story that's like recognizable as an adaptation. I think that I really, yeah, I think that Twilight Zone wrapper was really strong as a concept, and certainly makes one want more things in that same vein. So if that's something that George Broussard is interested in pursuing, I think that would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't have many notes really as far as things that I experienced or was wishing for, there's stuff like that. The one thing that I guess is the largest thought that comes to my head is that so most of the gameplay of the game occurs before the story really occurs. So if you think about the game in the most macro sense, you could, if you were writing a screenplay, I mean, if you were writing a screenplay, you could cut out almost every scene of the game before the friend arrives at the house, which is kind of like almost the epilogue as far as gameplay goes, because all the adventure game gameplay occurs before the story really kicks in at all. And I think that you could probably, in order to kind of like help the pacing, there could be a lot of things that you would do with maybe the friend is coming over day by day and you're solving pieces of the adventure puzzle in between times when you talk to the friend about the monkey's paw or something, or maybe the first day the friend comes over, and you have to fix the power things or whatever, and you find a couple items, and then it's nighttime and the friend comes over and he says, I found this monkey's paw, like it's great, I did this and this, and then you do a couple more things. I found that this everything is going great, and then the third day you fix a couple more things with the power lines, and then the third day is this thing is horrible. I wouldn't recommend it to my worst enemy, and then you wish for more money, and you go out again to fix the rest of the power lines or to do something else, adventure game type thing, and then it's nighttime again, and the government official or the guy from the company comes over and he tells you that the kid got caught in the machinery. It doesn't feel like it needs to be, in terms of like a 3-act structure story, it seems like acts 1, 2, and 3 are all at the end. And the gameplay of the game, where you're like finding and combining and doing things, happens before that. So I feel like you could spread that out, and it would improve the structure of the gameplay to storyline ratio, I guess. And it would also, I think, help keep the player engaged a bit more in like a larger storyline arc that's happening, as opposed to just like, there's nothing wrong with an adventure game where it's, you're trying to fix the power lines and you're working on this farm and you're on a cool alien planet. Like, before I knew about the monkey's paw aspect, I had no problem with the sort of with the monkey's paw, or with just the gameplay that was there already. I was like, oh, this is cool. We're exploring. We're on this cool world. I love the sci-fi stuff. But then once the monkey's paw stuff came in, and then once it became clear, once we got to the end of the game, I was like, oh, okay, well, it's a little strange that the inciting incident, if we're talking in screenplay terms, the inciting incident, which usually happens on page like 1 or 2 of the screenplay out of 90, so like the very beginning of the thing, inciting incident happens at the end, or in if it was in a screenplay. The inciting incident here is happening if we're talking about a divide in terms of our gameplay time. The inciting incident happens on like page 75 out of 90. And usually the inciting incident, I think in film school they would tell you it's around like page 10. So again, I don't need to teach George Broussard any lessons about how to make a video game, but that's my recommendation as far as just like the screenplay, or rather the pacing of the game. I think it could help to have the monkey's paw concept show up earlier and be spread throughout, like interspersed within parts where you do, work or whatever. But again, I think that what is here is extremely strong, and that's not really a very big note, because a person who's playing the game is going to be enthralled by the game itself. I think this would just be something that helps to make it move faster and make it more engaging. I guess more engaging for the reason you want it to be engaging. Because if you're making an adaptation of the monkey's paw, you kind of want the monkey's paw thing to be the thing that people think about with the game. But with this, it's like you do something unrelated for like 45 minutes, and then you do a game, a very small scale game about the monkey's paw. There's like 2 sections of the game. There's the part where you're going all around the world. Like there's no world map element in the monkey's paw part. There's no finding items and combining in the monkey's paw part. So I think that you could probably, intersperse it. And I guess that's my biggest recommendation. But again, I thought this was extremely well put together and just really cohesive. For every part of the game was really impressive. It's fully voice acted. Again, I think that the wife's voice was a little bit jarring, but everybody really had a great performance, and the wife too had a great performance in terms of like the emotionality of it. So yeah, excellent work. Again, I don't know how far my thoughts like that go for somebody who's way more experienced at this than I am, but I was really impressed by this project, and I it's like I would say like, oh, I can't wait to see what you do next or whatever, and I can't wait to see what you do next. But it's like it's not like I'm talking about somebody who's like an unknown person. This is somebody who's already published like very important works. So yeah, I would love to see what this project turns into if George Broussard is choosing to move forward with it. I think an anthology Twilight Zone of adventure stories like this would be really, really cool. But yeah, whatever he chooses to do, I would love to see it. So guys, that's going to do it for this one. If you want to find the third wish, I absolutely recommend you play it yourself, and you can do that at this link here on the top, or you can click the link that I'll put in the video description. You can name your own price for this one as well, so if you want to show a little bit of extra love, then make sure that you check that out. And of course, if you want to support it by word of mouth, it seems like sharing the game with friends on Twitter or other apps, but I would say Twitter is probably the biggest, would be the best way to do that. So go show your love to an awesome project that clearly has a lot of work and love put into it. So I highly recommend it. Now, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.